Hello and welcome to Steel City Business Uncut. The first episode of every month is where we dig a little bit deeper with an amazing guest in a raw, honest, largely unedited conversation. I'm James Marriott, I'm your host. I run an audio marketing business in Sheffield which is called Sound Media, and on Steel City Business Uncut I'm joined by co-host Stephen Kenwright, who was co-founder of Rise at 7 before exiting in late 2022. The show is recorded at the awesome studios at The Curious at Castle House in the heart of Sheffield city centre. Right, let's do it. Welcome to Steel City Business Uncut. I'm James, the real star of the show is here. Stephen.
Hello.
And the real stars of the show are here. First time that we've done this with two guests. Quite cosy around our little table today. So we've got Sam and we've got Mike, who are from Gravitate Accountants. Do you call yourself Gravitate Accountants? It's just Gravitate now.
So it's Gravitate Accounting was the original, and now we've launched a corporate finance arm. We used to be a bit upset when people just called us Gravitate, because we thought no one's actually going to know what we are or what we do from that. So we are Gravitate Accounting. And like I say, it used to be a case of like correcting people when they were doing press releases and stuff. But now we're moving towards, we're going to be doing accounting, tax and corporate finance. We're quite happy with just Gravitate.
Yeah, we might go back to it now. I quite like it. It's all right.
What does the email domain say? What's that?
Again, another great idea. It's gravitate.digital.
So
at gravitate.digital, which just confuses people because they're like, and the .co.uk or .com, and you're like, no, just .digital. I think we've got .accountants. We've got Gravitate Digital Accounting. Gravitate Accounting. I think we've got a few different domains now, but yeah, the original is gravitate.digital.
So the domain for this website is steelcity.business. I've said it to a couple of people who've done exactly that, where they go, and? Yeah. I'm like, no, that's it. That's just the domain. And they're like, I didn't know you could have that. It confuses people, doesn't it? It confuses people. Stephen's in charge today.
I'm in charge.
You're in charge.
Okay. Hello. This is new responsibility I'm not sure I'm ready for, but I've been following you guys for a little while on LinkedIn particularly, and you've referred to yourselves as fast-growing accounting firm, right? And that's the place that I thought I would love to start, and I'd like to know a little bit about that growth. Really, like, what has been the catalyst for fast growth? And follow-up question, which I'm going to ask at the same time. Where does it end? What are you guys trying to do? How big, and how you define big is kind of up to you, but how big are you guys looking to get to?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose what does fast growing mean is it just means working in a fast evolving environment to us. So fast is very different for different types of businesses. You have some businesses that we see that go from £100,000 to 10 million. You have some that go from 250k to $500,000, and both are significant in its own right. It's just about being in a fast-paced environment where we're willing to learn all of the time. And the reason why we like to call ourselves that as well, and we are fast-growing, is that we want to attract like-minded clients as well. So when they see that, they think, yeah, we like to be like that as well. So there's a lot more behind why we say it as well. One, because we want to be that, but also two, we want to attract the right type of clients as well.
And the right team members, I suppose, as well. We sort of say to people when they join us, there's probably easier ways to go and earn money than at Gravitate. It is fast paced, but you won't go to a place where you'll learn as quick and as much information as you will at Gravitate. Like the learning potential working with us and how we operate is, because it's quite intense and it's so mixed, is a great opportunity for like the trainee accountants and part qualified accountants and stuff.
So what kind of recruits do you guys typically go for, right? So is it your traditional accounting people who are coming from more traditional firms who are looking for something a little bit different, or is it, people starting out in their career, or who else? Like who are the typical Gravitate recruits?
I think initially it was always through our original network, people that we knew. There's a very big sort of training scene behind it all. So we all go through the same study programs. We're all in the same sort of study courses and classes. So you just generally have a network. So very, very much in the early days, it was, people seeing what we're doing, want to be part of that journey, and joined Gravitate because of us. And then I think more recently, where we're getting people from is through our social media. So we're not scared to promote our culture, where we get things wrong, where we do really well at. And I think that open transparency and that sort of together culture is really bringing people in saying, that's what I want at my current workplace. And then they reach out to us and want to naturally work for us. So it's just being honest with what the workplace is like, because we've all been to job roles where, you get in the interview and they sell you the dream, and then you get there and do the job and it's not actually that. Whereas we want to show people what it's like. It's a fast-paced, fun environment where you can be yourself. And when they come here, they're not shocked. They're not all of a sudden having to wear a suit and tie. We weren't lying. It is what we perceive on social media.
Yeah, and I'd say, I think we always sort of say we can train great people to be great accountants, but you can't train great accountants to be great people. So if we recruit people first as like our starting point and say, yeah, we can work with that. And like just last year, we've started recruiting apprentices, real apprentices, because the whole apprentice word now is doesn't even describe what people expect. We've got apprentices who are one exam away from being qualified accountants, kind of thing. It's not actually the apprenticeship, how it works in our industry has changed significantly. But we've got 4 school leavers now, and that was a change in how we operated. We thought we had enough behind us to be able to train staff up as well and support their growth, where before we were probably too small and we didn't have the time in-house to be able to dedicate to these, like, the next wave of accountants kind of thing, to train them up. We've scaled enough to have a team who can support them and help them grow. And like, we're people first on all those, and they're all incredible. And like, it's been a bit of a game changer for us, really. And obviously, both from Sheffield, we love the fact we're from Sheffield. We actively promote Sheffield at any opportunity, and to be able to go into schools and stuff and colleges and be talking to them and saying, whatever you do not go to university. Like, it's not the best route. I went
for accounting.
For accounting, I went to university and then qualified after, and like, we've got people who are sat there in the room with us now, and with like 70 grand plus debt, or you could have apprentices who have got 3 more years training, and they're part way through the professional qualifications as well. Like, it's the swings in
with no doubt
incredible, yeah. So we're getting out into schools and trying to change that perception and saying, look, get into accounting apprenticeships kind of thing, and we'll train you up.
Yeah, we're really successful last year. Like, I think the key thing what Sam just said then is we were never in a position where we could dedicate time. As being a fast-growing accountants practice, we were strapped of our own time, but we always had on our agenda that we wanted to do that and bring them in. And I think last year, 4 was it in 1 year, and all of that had a really successful start.
I'm curious, like, thinking about that growth and also thinking about what you're talking about with education as well. I've one of my best mates is an accountant, and came through my previous agency as head of finance and kind of moving on more recently. But what I always found interesting about his discipline, his career, compared to a lot of the other people in the digital agency, was it seems to me like there's a time that you've got to put in to becoming better and better at being an accountant and being trusted, right? And being almost not qualified, but, being seen as a safe pair of hands that you just don't have in the digital agency part. So, it was interesting to me to see people kind of getting promoted 2 or 3 times in a year, sometimes doing that digital PR, etc. And then the accounting side a little bit different. And I'm curious, like, is accounting still like that? Is it like how much time you put in is a big part of how far you get, or is it much more, is the pace of progression a little bit different now?
I'd say the landscape's changed massively. I think through the uses of the technology has removed what a typical apprentice would be doing from day one, which would be filing paperwork, putting in a folder, making cups of teas. Now that we've got bots now that do all the bookkeeping for the apprentice, and now what we get to do is give them higher level tasks. Higher level tasks attach a higher level salary. So what we're seeing now with the apprentices because I started through the apprenticeship route, what I'm seeing is I was that boy that sat in the back filing paperwork, hole punching stuff. These people now, when I was doing that, are now working on, management accounts, which is, a high level task that it would have took me 2-3 years to get my foot in the door. So I think what we will see is the apprentices progressing into these higher level roles much quicker than before, which is actually a really good thing for our industry, because one of the biggest concerns is not having enough attractiveness for people to come and work in finance. So if we can automate some of it, we're sort of, bridging that gap of, not having enough accountants, but the ones that do want to be accountants can do the high level work anyway. So it's saving us in a way, having all of the digital transformation. I would not like to try and imagine where we would be without it, because we would have a massive sorted, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think if you think of what we're Xero is something we talk about a lot, is the top cloud accounting software in the world now. So we've sort of grown with Xero as sort of the platform. But what we are is we're specialists in the product. So it's not just, if you're just using Xero, it's just a starting point. There's apps that link to it left, right and centre kind of thing. So there's a lot of tech in our industry. I mean, there's XeroCon, which is an accountancy convention. Obviously sounds like the worst, most painful couple of days ever, but it's not. It's just a party. It's just a party run by tech companies, because that's all it is. There's tech. Xero is the platform that everyone wants to build something that links to. So if you've got a marketing agency, you want to be able to plan projects and plan your staff time, and it links to Xero, because if your accounting software is talking to your operational software, then you're winning, aren't you? The worst thing you want is when you've got to duplicate something or replicate it, or even export it and import it into Xero kind of thing. So Xero, it's getting more and more techy, our industry, and so like you were saying, bookkeeping's no longer this manual process. It's driven by taking a photo of an invoice, the software's reading it, uploading it, and then saying, well, you spent £6 at Costa, and I've got a receipt here that you took a photo of from Costa. Do they match, kind of thing? And it just tying them up. So the tech and stuff that's driving it all allows the apprentices to do the more exciting work.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind. There's people that still do a manual VAT return, and I'm like, doing it through Xero, you just click, oh, it's done, and it pays itself. The money just goes out the bank. It's all just automated, and the people that are doing stuff manually, I'm like, God, that must be total pain. I thought we were going to see a little bit of the secret life of accountants then, because I thought what you were about to say, Sam, was that XeroCon is 2 days of partying with accountants, and that actually when you let them loose, there's people dancing on tables, swinging the books around their head. I don't know what the accounting equivalent of pants would be. I don't know.
I think it's arguably more loose than that, to be fair.
Wow, right. There was a good line in there as well where he said something along the lines of, you can't make a good accountant into a good person. I thought that's use that more.
You can't train them.
My list of questions. Can I start by insulting you slightly?
Go for it.
Right, because I think what you guys do is a perfect definition of what I call something that is important but dull. Posted about this on LinkedIn earlier on today. Stuff that it matters, it really matters, but traditionally, when you say to someone, what do you think when you think of an accountant, we could all fill in the blank on that. And yet what you guys have done is kind of make that cool, because I think, you've built a brand there that it's lively, it's fun, you're very public in the stuff that you do, you're both very active with the stuff that you post, particularly on LinkedIn and stuff like that. Was that always the intention from the start then, to build something that was we want to, in the way that Uber reinvented taxis, was it we want to reinvent accountancy and make it more fun?
I feel like we haven't really had much of a master plan, have we? We say yes to a lot of stuff. We work really, really hard, and a lot of good things have happened. I think it goes back to naming the company, naming it Gravitate and not Newton and Co or Newton and Crocker kind of thing. It sort of goes back to that was, I suppose, a start point. And in accountancy, we're very lucky that it's an industry where people have gone down this digital route before us and happy to share a lot of knowledge. So we're in WhatsApp groups and contact with accountants around the country, sharing best practice and stuff like that. There's a couple who've written books about you say branding and stuff, and that I remember reading that, and that's why we sort of just moved away from the Newton and Co or Newton and Crocker, whatever we were going to call it, and went for like just a standard, more like name that was brandable, and then it's sort of just grown from there. Like you say, we're sort of both open and honest. We don't have anything to hide, and so being able to like share our story we've got a lot of people who when we post stuff, they'll like message us separately, like, oh, it was great to see this and great to see that. They're actively following our journey and want us to do well, which is quite nice.
I think we just put ourselves out there. One thing that's quite clear between me and Sam is we've got a massive passion within our industry, and I know you sort of mentioned about the dull comment. And the reason why we've got so much passion is not because we like doing accounts. We found this other area of accountancy that is a spin-off of that. So we do the dull stuff, and we agree it's dull, definitely is, right? But there's this extra bit that we do for clients, which is the advisory piece. It's a forward-looking. It's no longer looking back anymore. And that extra piece that we do is one of the most impactful things that we have for our clients. And it's the thing that they shout about us to other people. So it's that element. And when we was working for previous employers, we was in that department and we saw the impact it was having on clients. But when Sam originally set it up, he saw, I suppose, a market for being able to spend a bit more time and understand clients a bit more, understand their business and be a part of their journey a bit more. And that's the bit that what you will see is why people want to come to Gravitate, not because of the dull element, but we always do the dull element because it has to be done. It's a dull but important task. But get that right, apply the forward-looking stuff. That's when it gets exciting, because you get to understand people, their businesses, their motives of why they're set up, not does it agree, does it balance. That's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
And we've got that passion to do that element. And I think that's really driven us forward in that we want to do that bit, because, there is accountants out there that could be half the price that we are, but they're not concentrating on value add, they're concentrating on get job done, where get job done and add value as well. Not all clients are going to fit that model for us. Some clients won't want the value add, and that's fine. That's just not our market.
Yeah.
And that's the attractive. So when staff come to work for us, they see that extra bit and they're gaining commerciality of all different businesses. Imagine over a 20-year period that you worked on 100 different clients every single year. Imagine that the amount of knowledge you picked up, general business knowledge you picked up over those years, that you could apply in your own accountancy practice one day when you set it up. You're armed with so much knowledge, and that's the bit that's really interesting for us.
Do you have, like, in terms of kind of building the brand as a brand, in terms of kind of how you come across publicly, is there a plan there, or is it just, purely organic, you kind of make it up as you go?
Oh, it's a massive plan. It's a master plan. There's not really. We're just looking around thinking, what can we post on LinkedIn today? I need a post.
Fair enough.
Fair
enough.
But I think part of that is sticking to showing the journey. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. It's signing the keys to the new office. It's painting the walls. It's building an office. It's just that journey. And some of that could be noise for people, but for us, it's people that are following that and liking to see where we're getting up to.
I think one of the reasons that I find this so interesting is because, like, good accountancy really matters. Like, good accountancy is the difference between, like, not going to jail and going to jail for tax fraud. Like, when I talk about important but dull, it defines the important bit. It's like we could all just go, well, it's boring, I'll not bother with it. Like, it really matters. So, when you're building something that has a lot of style to it, as your brand does, I guess what I'm asking is how do you make sure that you keep that balance between style and substance right? Because you have got to, you said yourself about, there's accountants that just do the dull bit, but that's also the important bit, isn't it? Like, how do you make sure that you get the things that matter right and don't get too kind of wrapped up in the brand side of things?
And it's because we are originally accountants that are setting up an accounting practice, but trying the marketing bit.
Yeah.
We're not marketeers that are trying to set up an accountancy practice.
Yeah.
This business is being founded by, I'm going to blow my own trumpet here, very good accountants, but we're just changing into business owners. And how we keep that quality control is we apply what we've learned in the past, which is proper review processes. Now, a lot of accountants will come to us and say, why are you doing all this checking? Why are you doing all these working papers? They're some of the bigger firms out there that you'd think would have all these layers of reviews don't, and we, even from day one, hold ourselves to such a high quality that will never slip, that will never falter. And it seems like overkill to people when they come into our business, but we don't falter on that. And that's driven by us. If we didn't drive that, then yeah, like you say, you could get carried away. But quality is just as important. We just find extra hours at midnight trying to find LinkedIn posts, We're still working 12, 14 hours doing the doing, do you know what I mean? But we just, as a business owner, it's your livelihood. Yeah. This is your family's, wealth at the end of the day. We've just got that extra little bit of bite to do the 14, 15, 16 hours, whatever work we need to put in to get there. And that's where that extra marketing bit comes from. So it's probably quite lucky that it's worked. Yeah, as well as it has.
I think we're learning as we go along. Yeah. So it'll definitely start as that, and now we're sort of aware that if we post to attract clients. So certain advice and like structures and tax tips and stuff like that, we know we'll get clients thinking, oh, my accountant hasn't told me about that. Why can't I do what? Like, yeah. Why I want to hear more. Then we're posting to attract staff, because it like you alluded to earlier, it's a hard industry to recruit in. So like we are bucking the trend a little bit. There's a lot of people struggling and moving to offshoring and outsourcing models where they'll lose that quality control kind of thing, but they'll have access to very good talented staff kind of thing. So we know people in the industry who do it and do it well, and I assume. But for us, the whole Sheffield thing and being able to support Sheffield as a region kind of thing is more important than having cheap staff and like risking damaging our outside perspective and stuff. So yeah, we're posting to attract staff, which works well, and then we're sort of just stay present, because the chances are someone comes to us and says, my accountant's messed up, can I talk to you, kind of thing. So we're always just front of mind when that moment happens, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's just, I guess, be more visible, isn't it? And I think you do a really great job about that. You've a couple of times, Sam, you've mentioned about Sheffield, being a Sheffield business, believing in Sheffield. That's really evident, because I see you post quite a lot, bigging up some of the stuff that happens in Sheffield, including this podcast. So thank you very much for that. Do you think you will always be a Sheffield business?
We sort of have we sort of, some of the LinkedIn is just a bit of like fishing as well to see if we get any bites. We sort of did put a post not long ago about if anyone wanted to merge with us and stuff like that in other cities, and we sort of took a step back from. So that was our potential growth strategy, to move to Leeds and Manchester and stuff like that. But to be fair, one of my ex-colleagues did say, look, he was from Leeds, and we were sort of starting the conversation, and he's like, but you're so big on the Sheffield thing, like how's that going to translate? And I thought it was a really valid point. And also we just took a step back, didn't we, and thought Sheffield's a massive untapped market, really. So like we talk about this digital accountancy stuff that we do, there's not many others in Sheffield who do it, but like from our contacts, I could probably name 8, 9, 10 off who are doing it in Manchester, similar numbers in Leeds. So we've quite lucky from that perspective. I'm sure there'll be others who pop up, but who are on the 100% digital side. There's not many doing it, and so that's why we instead of going for the expansion model of moving from doing what we do really well, management accounts advisory work, we've moved to like expanding our service line. So we now a couple of weeks ago we launched a corporate finance service. Yeah. So we're working with some mega Sheffield companies now, like really exciting scaling businesses, and we want to be part of that full journey. So we don't want people to come to us and think, I'm with a small account, I'm going to go to Gravitate, get all this support and advice and stuff, but I want to build to sell, so I need to be with a bigger firm, essentially, and that mindset. So we've brought in this corporate finance person called Martin Dean to continue that journey with our clients as they grow, kind of thing. So now, instead of, like you say, branching out into different cities, it's more about doing more in the accountancy space for the clients we've got, essentially.
Yeah, I think we were thinking like that, how do we multiply what we've got currently? And I think we sort of shifted and saying, well, how can we serve our clients better? Yeah. Not how can we go to a different city? and that just distracted us setting up a similar sort of practice, working at the same sort of level, same sort of value. So we switched it and said, right, okay, if we doubled down, trebled down, quadrupled down on Sheffield and focus on giving more value to that client, what would we do? And that was new service lines. So we did flirt with the idea because it just sounded quite exciting, having, somewhere in Manchester or Leeds, Liverpool, wherever. It just sounded exciting, but it probably felt a bit more too much vanity for us, and having multiple offices. It was probably the wrong way to go. But luckily, I think you've mentioned it, the accountancy community is quite big, and people offer advice of what they've done and what's worked so well and what's not worked so well. And we had a few conversations, and it sort of steered us in the right path, I think. And that's why we sort of changed what we thought we were going to do.
You must have, thinking about going back to Rise at 7, Stephen, you must have had very similar sort of things in terms of, there must have been various points when this idea of, are we a Sheffield business? Is that what we're, is that what we're going to be? Must have come up a few times.
It was a conversation that happened pretty frequently, to be fair. And I'm certainly of the opinion that Rise going from 2 staff to 110 in 2 and a bit years couldn't have happened elsewhere except maybe Liverpool, maybe Birmingham. And Sheffield and those cities particularly strike me as the ones that are massive, with very little competition doing the same kind of thing, but loads of people, many of whom are really good. Mm-hmm. And so the market in those cities, much more than a Leeds or a Manchester or an Edinburgh and certainly London, the market is there for a brand, for an agency, for an accounting firm, for lots of different disciplines to come in and actually clean up, because the pace of scale is only really limited by how quickly you could find good people. Like, clients will come from far and wide if the offering is good and they can't get that offering wherever it is that they might be. But people live close to their work if they're going to actually be going into an office and stuff like that. So you are limited by, location in that sense. There was always a point of contention because Rise never did have any Sheffield clients, because the brands here are quite different to the brands that we would typically work with. Lots of Manchester brands being very focused on fashion, particularly London with fintech, as well as European and US brands especially. So we were never a big presence in Sheffield in terms of the clients that we would work with. So that tension that comes between being, are we a Sheffield business or are we a global business, was the real kind of, where do we want to fall on that line, and how do we want to talk about ourselves and how do we not want to talk about ourselves. And we got to a point where we thought we probably know most people in Sheffield that are at the age and experience that they could come and work with us, and we did make an effort to make sure that we still had a presence without kind of advertising ourselves as a Sheffield business by that point. Mm-hmm. But that was very much because our clients were European, US, and further afield. So it's not an easy point to kind of, because it is this or that, right? You can't be of one place and of everywhere at the same time very easily, unless you're using that kind of the attributes of the city, using the attributes of the region to really kind of advertise your unique qualities. I guess it's hard to do. But no, it was always something that we were talking about from day one till the end, really.
Do you guys think that? I don't know what the ultimate vision is, so maybe part one of this question is, what is the vision? But is there, and this is not me in any way putting Sheffield down, because I think you could replace the name Sheffield with any city in this sentence, but is there enough in Sheffield for you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve without going further afield?
I think that there's a lot that we've not, clients that we've not worked with, so there's so much to go at. But when you think what we do, we're a digital practice, we should be able to work wherever. So our focus is Sheffield, but if we do what we do well and we can prove concept in other cities, doing the work in Sheffield, it doesn't matter. So there's a massive opportunity. Are we focusing on other cities currently? Not at the minute. But if we can develop something where we have the same sort of client relationships, but across, borders even, we'll explore it, because we just want to impact as many businesses to grow, scale, and exit, just like what, hopefully we will do one day. But as for the vision, our vision has always been, we want to get to a place where either we we can sell the business ultimately. That's where we want to get to. Is the business has to be saleable. Whether we choose to sell or stay in the business, that doesn't matter. It just needs to be saleable. There's no determined time on that as such, but we just need to get the business. So everything we think about is systems, processes, replacing ourselves with people, delegating tasks, passing down knowledge. Everything's getting us to a point so we have an option, because what we realise is, as a business owner, most people as a business owner will be sat there thinking, I have no option. I have to turn up on a Monday. I cannot be ill. I was ill on Thursday. I was devastated. I'm like, I can't be ill. I'm not allowed to be ill. And most business owners will feel like that. So our goal is to get to a position where we can just feel ill if we want to feel ill. We can just sell the business if we want to sell the business, and you will naturally do all the right things that you need to do in order to get yourself to that point. And again, we work with clients like that as well, because that's one of their number one biggest pains, is that how do I get away from this? How do I give it, make me have a 3-day week, instead of me working 7 days in it?
Yeah, makes sense. Good answer. You talked a little bit about the corporate finance offering that you've introduced recently. What else is in the pipeline? I get the impression that you're the kind of people that are always kind of thinking about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and probably ruling out 19 out of 20 things every day. But is there anything that you could tell us about that might be coming up, that might be on the horizon, or things that you're thinking about?
I think, like we sort of say to everyone we hire, like, we don't want them to come in and just continue doing what we're doing kind of thing. We want them to do things different and mix it up. And the world is, they're always in the way that we will take on their ideas. Yeah, we might knock them back or tweak them and stuff like that, but if it's a genuine improvement to our business, we'll take it on and do it. So the next obvious role will be tax, because there's like very specific tax roles essentially for that we want to expand into. But then after that, it's sort of like, so we talked a bit about our brand and our marketing. Emily, who's joined us probably 8 or 9 months ago, so it was sort of all reliant on me and Mike for the first few years, and then Emily's joined us, and she's sort of put steroids into our marketing campaign, and so it's just getting better and better. And we've had early discussions about, well, we're very good at marketing accountancy firms. Why don't we turn that into to something we can sell? And that's something that her aim is. And like I say, if we can systemize it and put a process to it, so we can replicate it and sell it on, why not, kind of thing. So I suppose we won't say no to any idea. We'll sort of work with them to see how we can refine it, how we can systemize it, and yeah, if that means her setting up a separate arm to Gravitate or a separate business, we'll be there to support it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like you were saying, tax is like the last piece of the puzzle. Our complete setup will be getting business to exit without having to use any external help whatsoever. Because currently we may use an external tax advisor in certain areas. So once we get a complete suite, that's complete. I think something else that we've been sort of saying is something we want to do, we always speak about it, is to really impact our industry. So do something for other accountants, something that we can sell in just like that. And I think we've always had a desire to, have some form of software. So in our heads is what is the next big thing, and we're accountancy business owners, and every industry will have it. As you're working, you'll understand is that one problem that you've got that you want to solve, and usually a piece of software will solve that. We're hoping that over the next 10 years we figure out what's the biggest problem in our industry and really serve that into our accountancy network. So we are building a trusted network of accountants, all over the UK, that come to us for advice. We jump on calls and talk to them, and we're hoping that we can push something back into that industry to make it better and improve it. That would be quite a nice thing to do. But that's too big for us now. But it's there in the back of the head.
Right, okay.
I don't even know if it's too big for us. We've got some ideas, but it's capacity. Like we do operate 100%. A lot of business owners will have successfully managed to get themselves out of the business as much as we are in it at the minute. So I think, like I say, everyone strives towards like this, being able to lead the business to run itself, and we'll openly admit we're not there yet. Like we're still grafting really hard to keep doing what we're doing and keep growing and keep doing that whilst not like having investment or having to borrow from the bank and stuff like that. So a lot of that's probably because we're growing at over 100% basically, and working long hours and stuff like that. But so I think we've got some things that we know would work. It's having capacity and energy to be able to do that. Like this, we've got our core focus at the minute, and we're not gonna step away from our clients and risk damaging the service level and reputation that we're offering to them at the minute. So they're still our key focus. Maybe in a couple of years' time, we'll have, like I say, freed up energy and capacity and mental space to be thinking, let's give this a push.
Do you have in your mind when that will be? Like, do you have these conversations about when we get that person in, or when we get
We
that?
always say that. I promised my fiance many a times that this person's going to solve all these problems. There's the next person. No, is this person a promise? That's not promising that, no.
Yeah.
You don't, do you? I think what I would say is it's going to happen sooner than what we expect. I think a lot of things have in our business happened a lot sooner than we expect. But as soon as we know that time's right, we'll jump on it. We're opportunists.
Yeah.
We like to jump onto things that we think feel right, but we know right now it's not the right time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like it's. I mean, we're probably over egging. Like it's getting better and better over time, kind of thing. Like back at the start, we used to be on Teams calls in the middle of the night, just not even talking to each
Falling
other,
asleep.
just being there whilst like COVID and stuff. Just like every half an hour, we'd say something to each other, but it was just like us both just grafting and knowing we're both there doing it together, kind of thing.
Accountability, I think. Is that what that is?
Or just not trusting each other.
Sam, wake up! You got more work to do.
So yeah, it's like we've had that hard work, like that work ethic from the start, kind of thing. It sort of never left us.
What does someone have to do to get a Gravitate bobble hat? What's the process?
Just say, I want one on LinkedIn, and then we're accountable. We need to do it. We need to send it. Jim Wickfield, get in touch with him. He loves sending out merchandise.
Right, done.
Yeah.
Let's talk a total change of pace here, but you've both been instrumental in setting up Sheffield Business Running Club. Sam, I think you may have jogged past me last night.
Okay. Was it slow?
It was at a decent pace, actually, to be honest.
Recognised, yeah.
The reason that I think this is really important, because it's not just about like a load of people going for a jog together. There's kind of like, I'm in the WhatsApp group. I've not actually turned up to do any of the runs yet. We'll gloss over that. But, there's kind of, about just general health. Mental health seems to be really important. Like, it's not just hey, we'll do this because it'll be fun. There seems to be some real kind of key issues underlining that. I mean, tell people a little bit more about it and why you wanted to be involved in starting that.
Yeah, it just started with Hannah Gerard. So she put up a LinkedIn post just before Christmas, just saying she wants to do something different. She's going to get it. She wants to train for a half marathon. I had never done it before. From the first time that she said, "Oh, I need a new accountant, can we have a chat?" and we met her, I was sort of amazed by her energy. And like when she says she's going to do something, you just know she's going to do it. Like there's something about Hannah which is just like incredible as a person. So she was like, let's do it. I think the second person to comment was Phil from Unlimited. So it was sort of Hannah's idea. Phil was always on board. And then I was like, if I put my mind to something, I'll make sure it happens. So I remember like it got to early January, I was like, okay, what are we doing? And we were like deliberating about days and stuff. Like, oh, let's ask. We would have a few people in the WhatsApp group, let's ask them. I was like, no, because I've done this before. If you ask 20 people what day they want to do, we ain't going to start this. We're going to set a day and we're just going to do it. And so, yeah, it was that what started it. For me, there's the mental health thing is important to me and my family. My brother, he struggles with his mental health. He says that running saved his life. So when I must have been about 15 years ago, basically he'd gone from being a real social butterfly to quite he'd gone into his shell and stuff. And I'd gone to university and hadn't really seen this transition. And then by the time I got back, he was sort of a different person. And yeah, he struggled with OCD and anxiety and stuff like that. I used to hear him like before he'd go to bed, he'd have to check his wardrobe and the window, and he had a Velux window, so I had to check that, and he used to do that. He got to the point where he was doing that 20, 30 times a night kind of thing. So I was used to hear him running around his room, and it was always a bit weird, but no one really talked about it, so no one really knew what it was. And then one time he just started running. He just went out and got for a run, and he said that's the first, like, his mental health got to a point where he said he'd wake up at 9 o'clock and wouldn't get out of bed. He'd just close his eyes until 12 o'clock because he just didn't want to face the day. Right. And then he started running, and he said that's the first time that you get this runner's high and it clears your head, even if it's for 5 minutes. Some days it'd be 5 minutes, some days it'd be 5 hours kind of thing. But you gave him that space to live again. And then he set up an Instagram handle, so it's called Run For Your Mind. And again, he's helping people in that same issue. So we set up a community interest company, so a charity basically, with the aim of raising money to give sports equipment to these people who are struggling. And now he's sort of took that to a new level. He's got a company called Lights On Wellbeing, and he sort of talks about this lights on moment when, like I say, the running came to him, and it sort of it changed his life forever kind of thing. So he's doing like talks. We had a business runners club sort of first meet up kind of thing, and he talked and through that side of things. So I suppose there's a part of that I always wanted to get. I know the importance of running. We've got a really young team, and some of them are going through struggles. And so if we can. We do the fitness truck on a Wednesday and the running club on a Monday. So they've got two opportunities to get involved with like physical activity, which gets them away from the desk. We know they work hard, so also spend some time looking after yourself. It comes to us. We're very lucky. As I was the driving force behind setting it up, the running club starts in our car park kind of thing.
Quite a good benefit, isn't it? Think about it.
Yeah. Got to be a perk.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why running is so important to me.
That's really, really interesting to hear, and I didn't expect that level of wholesomeness to the answer, to be honest. So that's awesome to hear. If you were still based in Sheffield, Stephen, would you be joining Sheffield Business Running Club? I'm
going to say yes if it's open to beginners who haven't run at all in like 15 years.
Yeah, we have people. We have people walking. So we've got two routes now. We're going to expand, I assume, but like one is a mile loop, which basically takes you around Callum, across the bridge, past Phil's office, and then back round towards us. And then some of the people are doing a longer one towards Hillsborough Park. But the logic behind the smaller 1 mile loop was, you can walk that in 15, 20 minutes, or you can do 2 laps, 3 laps, 4 laps, 5 laps kind of thing, and everyone can do that as a starting point kind of thing. So yeah, like people literally walk it. It's good. It gets people involved.
I wanted to kind of come back to the brand just really briefly, because I think that you guys are doing a really good job as self-professed accountants having a go at marketing rather than the other way around. Where do you draw your inspiration from? Like, do you look at particular companies and think they're doing a great job, even if outside of accounting, and we want to kind of not replicate, but we want to take some inspiration from the style, from the position, from the visuals, whatever it might be?
For me, what I would say is, our community is really good at sharing, accountancy community, and what we do look at other accountants as well that are out there, and there's a very small, minute number that are doing some of the things that what we're doing. And we didn't invent, being accountants and being pretty loud on LinkedIn. That was already existed somewhere else. Before it was a pretty cool concept, and thought, well, what's the worst that can happen if we try and do the same? You're going to stand out, if nothing else. So I think it's really born from that, but we look at any business. If someone's doing some good marketing, try and adapt it, and apply it to what we do. So yeah, we are generally just looking around and trying to get ideas from all sorts of different areas. But I mean, you're a better place to answer that, aren't you?
No, I think you nailed it. To be fair, like there's definitely some people who are on LinkedIn who have probably because people talk about getting stick on LinkedIn. We don't really get that much stick, do we? And if we do,
we're so lucky.
If I get a stick, he protects me.
Yeah, I'm always there like, what's he just said? He's like, Mike, don't respond.
It's like, just let it all blow over.
Like, he's not picking on my spam.
I think, like a couple of ladies spring to mind too. Jerry Williams, Laura Taylor, Fran. These are all people who have done really successfully grown their like brand on LinkedIn, and more down the personal branding side. I don't think we have a huge focus on that. Priority for all is always Gravitate over anything else. So I think they're the ones who have done it before and took a lot of stick from people saying this isn't Facebook kind of thing. I never felt any backlash from the whole this isn't Facebook thing, but people seem to talk about it all the time. So
we don't have as many followers. So
yeah,
that's probably why.
Yeah, maybe. So I mentioned Emily, who's been incredible for us, but there's people went before Emily. So we had a marketing agency called Happier Digital who were in our office, which was nice because we could just go and say, can you do some help us out? So they
was not them.
Yeah, they got it started. Tom Scott, who obviously had on here, they were our agency for probably 2-3 years, and so we grew a lot and developed with them kind of thing and learnt a lot from those guys. So yeah, we're just like we operate our business. We're always open to learn and absorb knowledge kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely been a combination of being a bit of the sponge and just taking stuff on board and trial and error.
What do you get stick for then on LinkedIn? You said sometimes you got to protect each other.
I don't know. Like we do manage to dodge it quite well. I think
it's only happened twice.
Yeah.
Like 4.5 years. But
I think the reason I asked that is because it seems it's less prevalent on LinkedIn than elsewhere because it's so focused, isn't it? It's so targeted around like very specific, quite specific people as well. Like you wouldn't, you like normal people are not on LinkedIn, are they? Like like normal people doing normal things are not on LinkedIn. It's just us crazy people doing stuff like this that are on there. So it feels like you kind of get a little bit less of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to say
it's generally pretty positive.
We've definitely dodged most. I can't. There's one. I definitely remember putting up a picture of like me in a wedding suit. This was early days, and because my wedding colours were blue and gold or blue and yellow, like the Gravitate colours. So it was useful for this specific thing. And I think I was saying like, look, we work so closely with our clients that one day it'd be cool to be invited to the wedding or something like that. Going to a client's wedding, not just a friend's kind of thing, because you've become that trusted advisor to them, which is sort of the old school accountancy model. Like the old accountants were that close to people, and they'd always be involved in family events and stuff. And I think I maybe put something about that being cool, and then someone said it's a conflict of interest and stuff like that. Someone dropped like some accounting standards on me. I was so all right, mate. Come on.
We always kind of wrap things up by giving our guests a bit of a platform, really, to talk about. I mean, I guess you will talk about accountancy stuff kind of all day, every day. But if there's anything that you're particularly passionate about that you never really get a chance to talk too much about, so yeah, you're both welcome to bowl in anything that you want to do.
Well, Sam likes to collect stamps. I
wish that were true.
No, I mean, mine, I'm sorry to disappoint, it's nothing going to be unique or anything, but my passion is generally just the business and Sheffield and making it, a place of opportunity. So I've just got a massive passion for, employing within our city and doing it from the earliest point that you can through so the apprenticeship scheme through school leavers. So I was from we'll say a deprived area in Sheffield, one of which you never really got to speak about opportunities. No one on my street was talking about being an accountant. That's not for people like us type thing. So for me, like I say, it's because it's workplace, people might think it's sad, but for me it's really important that I think we sort of level up that opportunity for people in areas where they're constantly getting told that no, that's not for you, that's not the path that you can take. So I see it as like a bit of a duty of care to Sheffield that we create an environment, one where people want to work, two where there's opportunities no matter where you're from. If you're really hard working, you can really be successful if you want to be. So for me, I'm just sort of dedicating my time, my energy to making that a thing within our local area. Like I say, I'm not collecting stamps or anything on the side, I haven't got time. But it's really just giving a platform and just sort of levelling it up for those that don't get those sort of opportunities.
Yeah, fair enough. Sam, tell us about your stamp collection. This is now going to be like an in-joke of the podcast.
I hope it's not true.
For the benefit of listeners, before we start recording, when I say to people at the end, I'll give you a chance to talk about anything that you're passionate about. I always say, look, my hope is that at some point someone admits that they're a stamp collector, because I'd love to hear about it. But alas, that's not actually the case.
Unfortunately, the dull boring accountants don't collect stamps. I suppose you touched on it earlier, like the passion for well-being and stuff like that is like when you start a business, you can't offer all the benefits and the perks you'd like to probably offer, kind of thing. Like, so we're in the minute now getting to a point where, well, what we did last year was we sort of said to the team, like, if you could pick any benefits and listed out hundreds of benefits, like cars, workations, mobile phones, more flexible working, pension and stuff, and we got them to say, like, rank them, like what's important to you, because there's no point in us just going out and getting a healthcare plan that no one actually uses.
Yeah.
It's almost pointless. So we said to them, what out of these, rank them, and so we sort of took the top 5 and delivered them, basically. And you can't deliver all 100 of them, and you can't, but something we are working to roll out is our wellbeing program to support our team, because like I say, we sort of have an incredible team, but a lot of them are young, and like I say, it's amazing what other people are going through, and we're in a workplace where you can open up and talk about it, where probably a lot of workplaces you can't. So my brother works with 2 or 3 of the team, like it's very confidential. They can choose what they share with me and what they share with him, but he's working hands on with some of our team who have got stuff going on. So it's just something we're going to look to scale up as we grow. Like, the more we can give back and help them out as they develop in their career, the better. It's just the nice warm feeling you get inside.
Yeah. It's no stamp collection or anything like that.
Well, one day it'll happen. I'm
sure.
Guys, thank you for joining us. What I forgot to ask when we touched on Running Club is if there's anyone listed that wants to get involved, that wants to find out more, connect with you on LinkedIn. What's the best way for them to do that?
Probably it pops up on our LinkedIn every so often. It's 4:30, 92 Burton Road.
Yeah.
I know, I panicked then, yeah. So 4:30, 92 Burton Road, in the car park. We meet, like I say, we get between 10 and 20 people still, and then we'll get you in the WhatsApp group from there. And then, I think one thing I love about the WhatsApp group is I see people get up early on a Saturday and post a picture of a run, and it gets me. I'm like, I'm going to get out for a run today somehow. Or even last weekend, I had the kids on my own all weekend, so I was like, I just put them to bed and got on the Peloton and just did something. And it just, I saw people come and say, oh, you don't want to run with me, you don't want to run a slow 2 miles. And I'm like, if you didn't come, if no one turned up, I would stay in my office and carry on working. Mm-hmm. So, like, if people are willing to make the effort to come, I'll happily run with anyone, whether it's the quickest person or the slowest, well, probably not the quickest, but every too quick. Whether it's one of the quick a lot or the slowest people, like, I'll happily go around with them. So, yeah.
Brill. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you all. It's been a really interesting conversation, so thanks for your time.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks very much for listening to this episode of Steel City Business. It's been really lovely to have you with us. Now, you know how this works. If you've enjoyed it and you want in on future episodes, then just follow us on your podcast app or on YouTube. The show is very active on LinkedIn. Just search for Steel City Business and come and connect with me as well while you're at it. Big thank you to The Curious for helping make this podcast happen. There's loads more about the show at steelcity.business, and you can get in touch by emailing James at steelcity.business. And hey, if you're in business in Sheffield, then, well, why not put yourself forward as a guest for a future episode? And of course, we're always open for a good chat about how audio marketing could work for your brand. Until next time, thanks for listening.